and welcome to Narayana IS. I am Pratik, your faculty for Daily News Analysis. Now students, as part of Daily News Analysis, we shall be discussing 5 important topics from the Hindu and the Indian Express. So let's have a quick glance over the topics that we shall be discussing in today's session. The first article is taken from Hindu, page number 6. The article talks about the importance or geostrategic importance of Chabahar port to India in the context of the recent renewal of contract by India and Iran for 10 years. The second article is taken from Indian Express, page number 10. Now, this article discusses the importance of urban planning and regulation. Why? Because in the context of several incidents in the cities of Rajkot, Delhi, which led to the lives of many people, right? So, it talks about the importance of urban planning and management. The third article is taken from Hindu, page number 1. Now, a cyclone named Remal has hit the southern districts of West Bengal, leaving a trail of destruction. So, in this article, we shall be discussing about the Cyclone Remal and the concept of the cyclone. The fourth article is taken from Indian Express, page number 12. Now, a recent report by Center for Science and Environment has highlighted the escalating heat stress in several major cities of India like Mumbai, Delhi, Hyderabad, etc. So, we are going to discuss about this particular report. The fifth article is taken from Hindu, page number 5. Now, a teacher from the Zilla Parishad school in Telangana has launched an AI-powered campaign to increase the school enrollment. So, these are the 5 topics that we shall be discussing, and finally, in the end, we shall be discussing few practice questions which will help you to understand the type of questions that can be asked in the examination. So, let's get started, students. Students, the title of the first topic is Chabahar's Opportunities and Challenges. Now, students, in this article, you need to understand or know Chabahar port and the International North-South Transport Corridor. So, we are going to understand the geostrategic importance of Chabahar port, the opportunities and challenges rising out of the Chabahar port. Again, you can map this topic under GS paper 2. So, a UPSC question was asked in the year 2017 on Chabahar port. So, this is the question: what is the importance of developing Chabahar port by India? So, once we go through the article, once we discuss the article, then you can come back to this question and try attempting the question. I am pretty sure once we go through the article, you will be in a position to answer this question, right? So what is the context? Now, the author of the article discusses the importance of the Chabahar port, especially in the context of the Iran and India relations. So, why? Because recently India and Iran had renewed an agreement on Chabahar port so that India can use the Shahid Beheshti terminal for additional 10 years. So, the agreement signed for 10 years involved or allowed India to use the Shahid Beheshti terminal for 10 years, right? Now, this article also discusses the geopolitical tensions in the region, for example, the conflict in Gaza and the political shifts in Iran, right? This is the context. Now, this is the beautiful Shahid Beheshti terminal. This is the port that India is going to use for additional 10 years. Now, what is Chabahar port? Where is it? It is located in the southeastern Iran on the Gulf of Oman. Very, very important for your pre-examination. Now, this Chabahar port has emerged as a linchpin in India's strategic framework for regional connectivity and economic development. So, for regional connectivity and economic development, okay, we'll try to understand how this Chabahar port is important for regional connectivity in the next slide. This deal was signed in the year 2003 between India and Iran to enhance regional connectivity, trade connectivity, and establish India's presence in the region, right? Now, this deal of 2003 holds profound geostrategic importance for India to ensure that India or India's ambitions are fulfilled using the Chabahar port, right? So, this Chabahar port, right, or this agreement which allows India to use the port for 10 years, it reflects a nuanced interplay of geopolitics and economic interests. We'll try to understand how this agreement or how the Chabahar port involves an interplay of geopolitics and economic interest. So this is the Chabahar port. This is Pakistan, this is India, this is Iran, and this is the Chabahar port on the Gulf of Oman, right? So the location of Chabahar port is extremely important. Why? Because a question can be asked in the UPSC examination. Now let's try to understand the importance of Chabahar port. As I told you, it is important to enhance connectivity to Central Asia and Afghanistan, and for that matter, the Russian, or for that matter, Russia as well, right? Now, see, looking at this map, Pakistan does not allow India to use Pakistan's land to connect Afghanistan and Central Asia. So Central Asia is a group of countries, is a group of 5 countries: Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan. These are the 5 countries that are part of the Central Asian region. Now, as Pakistan does not allow India to use its land, so India is finding an alternative route. And how is that? So India has developed this Chabahar port. So we are going to connect the Indian ports with the Chabahar port, and through Chabahar port, that is through Iran, will connect Afghanistan and further to the Central Asian countries. That's the reason it is important to enhance regional connectivity to Afghanistan and Central Asian countries, and further extending to Russia as well. Now, Chabahar's role in the international north-south transport corridor is also very, very important. What is this international north-south transport corridor? Now, this INSTC, it aims to link India with Russia and Europe through Afghanistan and Central Asia. As I told you, looking at this map, so using Chabahar port, we are going to connect to Afghanistan, Central Asia. From Central Asia, we'll connect to Russia as well as Europe. So this is the international north-south transport corridor. So this Chabahar port is also going to be helpful to materialize or implement the international north-south transport corridor, right? Again, it has also got a strategic significance in the context of Afghanistan, given that the Taliban have taken over Afghanistan, right? Now, Chabahar port is also important to counterbalance the Chinese presence in the region. Now, again, let me show you the map. So, this is Iran, this is Pakistan, and this is the Gwadar port. This is the Gwadar port and this is the Chabahar port. India is developing the Chabahar port and China is developing the Gwadar port. So again, you see that India and China are conflicting in this region. Now, in order to reduce or counterbalance China's presence in the region, for India, the strategic port is very, very, very important. It is geostrategically important, geopolitically important, as well as it is geo-economically important. That is how important Chabahar port is for India. So if you see this international north-south transport corridor, this is the map. So as of now, in order to connect to Europe and Russia, we use this route. So this is the Arabian Sea, and here this is the Suez Canal, this is the Mediterranean Sea, and finally we connect to Europe and the Russia. But now with the help of Chabahar port, we can reduce the transit time as well as we can reduce the cost. So this is going to be extremely beneficial for India. So it's not only going to be beneficial for India, it's going to be beneficial for Iran, Central Asian countries, Afghanistan, Russia, etc. Right? So this is the international north-south transport corridor. Now, what is the bilateral dynamics and challenges? Now, this port no doubt is important for India's strategic interests. It acts as a stabilizing factor. Chabahar port acts as a stabilizing factor amidst various geopolitical and economic strains. Now, what is this geopolitical strain or challenge? United States has imposed sanctions on Iran, right? As Iran is developing its nuclear arsenal, so USA has imposed sanctions on Iran, which means no country can deal with Iran. Now, as the Chabahar port is important for India, right? We cannot ignore Chabahar port, or we cannot come under the pressure of United States and reduce our absence in the Chabahar port. So in the amidst of the geopolitical and the economic strains, right, the Chabahar port acts as a stabilizing factor, right? So this is the geopolitical strain And then we have the economic strain. For example, as I told you that the United States wants India to reduce its trade ties with Iran, or USA wants India to deal with Iran or to completely stop dealing or trading with Iran, right? For example, in the year 2013, this Iran O Hind shipping company was dissolved. Why? Because this joint venture Iran O Hind company was going in loss, was making huge losses, was not making profits, and that's the reason the company had to be dissolved. Why? Because as I told you, USA has imposed sanctions. Now, as USA has imposed sanctions, which means no country is going to invest in Iran, there will be no technology transfers. The banking channel gets affected because of these sanctions. That's the reason India had to dissolve this company. So, amidst the geopolitical and the geo-economic strains, Chabahar port acts as a stabilizing factor. Then the other geopolitical complications. For example, as I told you that India has invested in Chabahar port. Now, what India is trying to do is India also trying to invest in Israel. Now, Israel and Iran are at loggerheads, you see, right? So, India has ready to invest or to invest in Israel's Haifa port. So, here you get to see the geopolitical complications. Israel and Iran are at loggerheads. So, we are trying to maintain relations with both the countries, right? So, now this is very, very important for India, right? The Western countries want India to reduce our trade ties or reduce our ties with Iran. So, now it depends on Indian diplomacy how it navigates this complex relationship. Talking about the US policy towards Chabahar. Now, many political analysts have criticized the United States policy towards Chabahar. Why? Because Chabahar port is important for India and USA wants India to reduce its presence in the Chabahar port or reduce its presence or to reduce ties with Iran. So, that's the reason the political analysts have criticized the US policy towards Chabahar. So, it is important, that's the reason the analysts say that it is important for a more nuanced US approach that recognizes the strategic benefits of Chabahar. So, here the Chabahar port is not only important for India, it's also going to be important for United States because United States wants to compete or wants to reduce the Chinese growing influence, and that's the reason the United States have to understand the importance of Chabahar port for India as well as United States. So, in the conclusion, we can say that there is a need for diversified bilateral engagement beyond the port, and it also suggests that how United States should change its policy towards the Chabahar port, right? I hope students you understood the article. Students, the title of the next topic is Letting in Light and Air. Alright. So, in this article, we are going to understand fire safety, importance of fire safety, and in the very context, we are going to understand National Building Code, right? So, you can map this topic under GS paper 2 again. So, question was asked in the year 2016 or 17. The question was about the food safety and standards, right? So, if a question can be asked on food safety and standards, similar question on fire safety can also be expected in the UPSC examination, right? So, such type of questions can be asked in the UPSC examination. Now, students, as I told you that in the last 1 week or so, many of the Indian cities witnessed many incidents leading to the lives of many people. For example, in Mumbai and Pune, a billboard got collapsed leading to deaths of many people. Then again in Rajkot, an amusement park caught fire leading to around 30 to 35 deaths. Then there's a blast in a Delhi hospital which led to the deaths of around 15 to 20 newborn children. Now such incidents has forced the urban planners to rethink their policies towards urban management and safety, right? The experts state that all these incidents are man-made, which means the institutions have failed. Institutions have failed with respect to urban planning and regulation. So, it is very important to understand the responsibilities of urban planning bodies like municipal corporations, we have civic development authorities, etc. It is very important that the urban municipal bodies should be made accountable. The experts state that these institutions are responsible for the incidents, which means these institutions have failed to enforce or implement the regulatory frameworks. So the ineffectiveness of enforcement of the regulatory frameworks has resulted in the deaths of so many people. So here the mechanism of urban development should be focused. What is this mechanism? Mechanism is nothing but enforcement of the laws and the National Building Code. We'll understand National Building Code in the next slide. These regulations, right, they are intended to ensure the safety, livability and sustainability of urban environment. In densely populated cities like Mumbai, Delhi, these laws, right, the laws meant for urban development or urban management are often compromised. The laws are compromised. Why? To accommodate the rapid construction because of the economic incentives. The laws are getting compromised. We'll understand how. But first, it is important to understand National Building Code. So what is National Building Code? Now, National Building Code is a code in order to ensure that people are living safely, which means it's a code directed to the contractors or the constructors. It's guidelines for building design concerning the architecture, how the architecture should be, how the structure should be. Let's say, for example, if it's a 20 store building, right, story building, then what should be the structure of that building? Then fire safety mechanism, plumbing services and the use of building materials. The purpose is to ensure safety, health and comfort for the occupants. This code is updated periodically. Well, the primary focus of the NBC is on fire safety measures. Which are these fire safety measures? For example, we have this firefighting, right? Then we have this fire escape routes, fire alarms, sprinkler systems. As soon as the building catches fire, the sprinkler system gets enabled, right? And the use of fire resistant materials so that the materials should not catch fire. These are the fire safety measures mentioned in the National Building Code. Then it also focuses on facilities for the differently abled people. Which are the facilities? For example, we have the ramps, right, through which the wheelchairs can be taken, lifts, toilets designed. Then we have the braille signs. These braille signs help the visually impaired people to identify the location, right? Then the NBC also includes the environmental impact of buildings for the sustainable and eco-friendly building. For example, we have rainwater harvesting, efficient waste management and the use of renewable energy sources, like for example, we have the green buildings, construction of environment conservation. So the National Building Code, right? This is National Building Code. The purpose is to make sure that the people are living safely. Now, which are the issues? Now, there are issues in the application of the National Building Code. For example, room to window ratios is not up to the mark, which means the climatic factors are not taken into consideration, which means there is no proper air circulation. Then the fire escape routes are not accessible and the balconies have been completely eliminated. Why? Because of the economic factors to maximize the profits. Right. So again, it is the failure of the implementation of National Building Code that is leading to so many accidents. Now, unfortunately, the public places are dwindling. The public places are losing or they are being reduced. Why? Because of the private occupation. So you get to see that the garden is raised to erect a mall or a private enterprise. So again, these public places are very, very important, but unfortunately, because of the economic factors, the privatized forms of recreation such as malls are replacing the public places. So what's the way forward? Way forward is that the urban planning should be holistic. What do you mean by holistic? Which means that it should integrate transportation, housing, green spaces and commercial areas so that cohesive and functional urban environments can be created. And how can we do it? By planning for pedestrian pathways, cycling tracks and public transportation systems so that people should prefer public transportation over the private vehicles. Then again, we can use smart technologies to enhance urban sustainability. Smart technologies include energy distribution, smart grids for energy distribution, then Internet of Things for monitoring water and electricity usage, then intelligent traffic management system to reduce congestion during peak hours, right? Then it is important to urge all the stakeholders, including residents and the urban planning bodies like municipal corporation, to prioritize long-term benefits rather than short-term benefits like natural light, fresh air, social and ecological sustainability, right? And then it calls for collective efforts to ensure safer and more sustainable urban environment, which means we have to ensure that for a future generation, right, we should not make the future generation or the living for future generation difficult. That's the reason we have to ensure, we have to adopt all these solutions so that we leave a place for our future generation to live, right? I hope you understood the article, students. Students, the title of the next topic is Cyclone Remal. So in this context, you need to understand the concept of cyclone and disaster management. You can map this under GS paper 3. So a question was asked in the year 2013, right? This question was again related to cyclones. So please go through the question, try to answer the question. What is the context? That a cyclone named Remal has hit the southern parts of West Bengal, leaving a trail of destruction, right? This is the context. So let's try to understand the concept of cyclones. The name Remal in the list of tropical cyclones is given by a country called Oman. So we'll understand how the countries give names to the different types of cyclones, right? So in the year 2024, this is the first cyclone to be hit. Now Remal in Arabic means sand. Now the Indian Meteorological Department has classified the different types of disturbances based on the wind speed. For example, when it's low pressure disturbance, the wind speed is less than 31 km per hour. When it's depression, it's 31 to 49. When it's cyclonic storm, it is above 61, and super cyclone is more than 221. Again, you don't have to remember each and every fact, but just knowing that low pressure, which means less than 31 km per hour, and cyclone is more than 61, super cyclone is about 221. So just you have to understand or remember few numbers. That's it. Now, what are cyclones? Cyclones are rapid inward air circulations built around a low pressure system. If I talk about the northern hemisphere, the air circulates anti-clockwise. In the southern, it circulates clockwise. And usually these cyclones are accompanied by violent storms and severe weather conditions. So here, when there is a cyclone, again you need to understand the features or the characteristics. For a cyclone, the pressure system has to be low pressure. For anticyclone, high pressure. So for a cyclone, the wind direction should be inward, and for anticyclone, it should be outward. So again, for a cyclone, the rotation should be counter-clockwise in northern hemisphere, anticyclone clockwise. Again, the weather condition for cyclone should be stormy weather, heavy rainfall, and for anticyclone, calm weather and clear skies. Again, during cyclone, the coastal areas get flooded, and during anticyclone, the coastal area remains dry. Again, during cyclone, the inland area or the inland areas affected because of strong winds, and anticyclone, it is affected because of light winds. So these are the characteristics that you need to know for your prelims examination. So there are two types of cyclones. One is tropical and the second one is extratropical cyclones, which are also known as temperate cyclones, frontal cyclones or wave cyclones. Again, a very, very important point for your prelims. Now, the World Meteorological Organization used the term tropical cyclone for weather systems where the speed of the wind is more than 61 km per hour. Again, a very important point for your prelims. So these cyclones develop between the Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. What? The tropical cyclones. I am talking about tropical cyclones. Now, extratropical cyclones or the temperate cyclones, they occur in high altitude or in the temperate zones. They originate in the polar regions, right? So this is about the tropical and the temperate cyclones. Now, talking about the naming of these cyclones. Now, this naming is a relatively recent practice, right? There are multiple countries who are involved to name these cyclones. Now, the naming is usually done under the auspices of World Meteorological Organization. In 2004, for the Indian Ocean, a group of 8 countries was selected. For example, we have Bangladesh, India, Maldives, Myanmar, Oman, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and Thailand. All these countries have coastal regions, right? That's the reason these countries can name the cyclones, right? I hope you understood the article, students. Students, the title of the next topic is Rising Heat Stress in 6 Metros, right? So, in this context, we are going to understand the concept of heat waves and urban heat island. You can map this under GS paper 3. So, in the year 2013, a question was asked in the UPSC CS examination. The question was, bring out the causes for the formation of heat islands in the urban habitat in the world. This was the question. So, let's understand the context. Now, a study was done by the Center for Science and Environment. This study or this report highlighted the escalating heat stress in major Indian cities like Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, Bangalore. Now, while all the metros except Bengaluru, it witnessed a 5 to 10% increase in relative humidity. Hyderabad witnessed the most significant increase at 10%. We'll understand what is relative humidity. And this study also noted differing impacts on the monsoon period. This is what the study reported. So, what is heat stress? Now, heat stress is a situation when a body is exposed to heat beyond its tolerating capacities, which leads to psychological impairment. It occurs when the temperature rises above 35 degrees in high humidity. This is keyword, high humidity. Now, this heat stress, it compromises the body's cooling mechanism like sweating. It leads to health-related illness and in extreme cases, it leads to mortal fatalities. The World Health Organization predicted 38,000 additional deaths annually between 2030 and 2050 because of heat stress. That is how significant the problem of heat stress has become. It also leads to impaired physical functions. The work productivity gets hampered. And what are the reasons behind the heat stress? Because of the rising temperature, because of the rising air and land surface temperature, along with the high relative humidity. These are the reasons behind the rising temperature. And what is high relative humidity? Means the air contains a large quantity or large amount of water vapor approaching its maximum capacity at a given temperature. This is high relative humidity. Now, warmer nights. Now, warmer nights signify that these cities are becoming more and more active during night, which means as cities are becoming active during night, it is preventing the cities from cooling down. Then we have the urban heat island effect, which we'll understand. Now, what is urban heat island? It is a phenomena where cities experience significantly warmer temperature compared to the rural areas. Why? Because of the differences in the heat absorption and retention. And what is the reason behind the urban heat island? One is because of the increase in the concrete pavement, which absorbs more and more amount of heat. And again, because of deforestation, that is cutting down of trees and removal of canopy. Now, if you remove the canopy, it removes the natural cooling mechanism, due to which the surface absorbs more and more amount of heat and it does not release the heat that it should release. Then again, because of tiny particles like the particulate matters, which are released from the industries and the traffic, the vehicles. Right now, these particulate matters, they capture or they trap the heat in it, which again is leading to the urban heat island phenomena. Now, what is the suggestion? The suggestion is that the emergency protocols need to be implemented during heat waves, like shutdown of school, prevent construction activities. Then we have to focus on long-term strategies like increasing green spaces, improved building thermal comfort, then reduction in waste heat, and then reduction of waste heat from the vehicles and industries. This is the suggestion. Again, conclusion, you can say that we have to focus on comprehensive heat management, which should tailor to the urban centers. And this is important to protect the public health and ensure that the urban places become more and more sustainable and resilient, so that we live a good space for our future generations, which means the future generation should be able to live a healthy life, right? I hope you understood the article. Students, the title of the next topic is Using AI, Artificial Intelligence to Increase Student Enrollment. Now, this is a very interesting article. Why? We'll understand. So, in this article, you need to understand artificial intelligence, right, as a concept, and how artificial intelligence can be used. You can map this under GS paper 2 education as well as science and technology for AI. So, again in the year 2016, a question was asked. This is an initiative of the government of India, Swayam being an initiative. So, question was asked on Swayam. Okay. So, now what is the context? A teacher from a Zilla Parishad school in Telangana state has launched this novel AI powered campaign. Why? To increase the school enrollment, student enrollment, right? So, we'll understand more about the topic. Now, what is artificial intelligence? Now, it's a branch of computer science, which means the activities that the human intelligence can do, the artificial intelligence or the artificial intelligence based systems can also do the same activities that a human intelligence can do, like learning, reasoning, problem solving, perception, language understanding, and decision making. This is artificial intelligence. Now, the teacher from the school, he created a virtual AI anchor. This is AI computerized avatar to promote the school benefits. Now, this anchor presents in Telugu. This anchor, driven by artificial intelligence, highlights the benefits of the school, highlights various features of the school regarding the quality of the qualification of the teachers and the multiple benefits that the school offers for these students. And the goal of the campaign is to boost awareness and increase student enrollment. This is the goal of the campaign. Now, in this context, we need to understand the difference between primary education, secondary education, and tertiary education. Now, the article that we discussed, you can use this to mention as example in any of your mains answers, right? So, keep this example in your mind, that is how technology can be used to facilitate or to make life better, right? So, what is primary education? It involves education usually up to class 8, but it varies from country to country, right? So, in the primary education, right, the foundational stage education is given, which means the foundational knowledge of various subjects like science, social studies, and sometimes a secondary language. This is to build or to inculcate knowledge about different subjects in the minds of the student. Then is the secondary education, which involves from class 9 to class 12. Again, it varies from country to country. Now, here we get to see that it builds on the primary education and it provides a broad range of opportunities for the students, which means now here the students develop deeper knowledge and skills in specific subjects like science, commerce, or for that matter, arts. Tertiary education is the graduation and post-graduation. Now, these are the subjects that the students learn in order to get a job, or these are the professional courses which helps a person to get a professional occupation, right? So, again, there are various educational institutions that provide professional courses via universities, colleges, technical training programs, vocational colleges, etc., right? The focus is on advanced learning, right? Especially or specializing in these specific subjects, right? So, this is tertiary education. I hope students you understood the article, right? Students, now it's time to discuss prelims practice questions. Question number 1 is about the National Building Code. Now, National Building Code NBC provides guidelines that are mandatory for all building construction. It's not mandatory, it's just a set of code, right? So, this is incorrect. It includes provisions for fire safety and emergency evacuation to ensure safety during fire incidents. Yes, this is correct. This is what we discussed, right? The NPC, again, it does not mandate. No. The implementation, it doesn't mandate. So, this statement is incorrect. 4, Accessibility features for differently abled individuals are an integral part. Yes, they are an integral part, which means 2 and 4. Option C is the correct answer. Next question about heat stress. Now, heat stress refers to a situation where the body is exposed to heat beyond its tolerating capacity, causing suffering, psychological. Yes, this is what we discuss about heat stress. It generally occurs at temperature above, wrong, it is about 35 degrees Celsius. So, this is incorrect. Option A is the correct answer. Next, this is about the formation of cyclones. Conditions required: warm ocean waters of at least 26.5 degrees Celsius. Yes. A pre-existing weather disturbance. Yes. High wrong. It should be low atmosphere. And low vertical wind shear. Yes. So 1, 2 and 4. Option B is the correct answer for question number 3. Fourth, now you have to match the correct pairs over here. So we get to see hurricanes in Atlantic Ocean. Yes, again this year to mug up. So typhoons occurs in the Western Pacific Ocean. Yes. Cyclones Indian Ocean. Yes. Tornadoes in the southern. Tornadoes, they are different type of storms, right? So they are, it's got nothing to do with cyclones. So 1, 2 and 3, which means option B has to be the correct answer. Now, question number 5. Primary education generally concludes at class 8 and focuses on basic numeracy and literacy. Very true. Secondary education generally ranges from class 9 to class 12, often preparing students for university entrance examination. Okay. Tertiary education may require competitive entry based on examination and primarily focuses vocational. No, vocational training is provided in secondary education. So this one is incorrect. Secondary education, yes, it prepares students for the university entrance examination. Correct. The goal of tertiary education is to prepare individuals for advanced research to contribute to economic and societal. Yes. So 1, 2 and 4, option A is the correct answer for question number 5. Means based question. The question is, discuss the significance of Chabahar port in the context of India's foreign policy and regional connectivity. Challenges faced by India. So students, in the introduction you can start your answer by mentioning that India and Iran have recently renewed an agreement on the Chabahar port, wherein India can access the port for additional 10 years, right? You can also mention the Shahid Beheshti terminal at Chabahar port. Now, in the body, you can mention first the significance of Chabahar port. It enhances connectivity. It helps India to connect to Central Asia and Afghanistan, right? Then it is important to counterbalance China, right? So these are the significance that you can mention about the Chabahar port. Then at the same time, you have to mention the challenges as well. Now, what are the challenges? As I told you, India has to navigate, or Indian diplomacy has to navigate this situation or this complex situation. How? On one end, we have the US who has imposed sanctions on Iran, and USA wants India to reduce or sever our ties with Iran. And on the other hand, we understand the importance of Iran, or for that matter Chabahar port. So one, we have to safeguard our strategic interests, and on the other hand, we have to also ensure that we abide by the international rules or international norms. So this is the challenge that we are facing, and this is what you have to mention in the second part of the body. And finally, in the conclusion, you can mention that it is up to our foreign policy that how we navigate this complex relationship. It is important for the USA to understand or have a conciliatory approach towards Chabahar port. USA has to understand the importance, the strategic importance of Chabahar port, right? And we have to ensure that we preserve our strategic autonomy. This is how you have to mention or write the means answer. I hope friends you understood the means answer writing, right? And that's it from our daily news analysis session, students. I hope you understood all the 5 topics that we have covered in today's session. Students, if you want us to continue with our daily news analysis session, then please do like, share and subscribe. Narayana IAS. Thank you so much.